Hey, what's up guys? Phoenix here. This video is going to be another Yu-Gi-Oh! Card review / discussion type video, this time on the first new piece of SPYRAL support that has been spoiled to us for release in Invasion Vengeance. This obviously being the second wave of SPYRAL support, SPYRALs being a TCG exclusive archetype. We have no information about these cards until Konami of the TCG tells us about them, and we are slowly starting to find out the new cards we will be getting in the second wave of support for the SPYRAL theme in Invasion Vengeance. Like I said, that set comes out the first weekend of November 2016, so we'll be having that set in a little bit less than a month's time frame. But they did some voting utilizing the pictures of the 4 new cards on Facebook, held a little poll to see which card they wanted, or we as the community wanted to have spoiled to us first, strictly based off the picture. And the one with what I believe to be the best picture is the one that got the highest amount of votes and is spoiled to us first, and you see it on screen right now. The card in question is Charming Resort Staff, or its actual name, the Waifu Waitress, because this card is fucking adorable. If I wasn't such a weeb, I would still probably just really like this artwork, just because, yeah, it's very anime. It's very anime looking, and I like that. But unfortunately, this card has a little bit of a problem in terms of its design. It supports spirals, but is not supported by spirals. It's a very interesting thing there, but I'm going to let you figure that part out from its effect. But yes, Charming Resort Staff. It is a light fairy level 3 monster with 300 attack and 200 defense, and its effect is when an attack is declared involving a spiral super agent you control and an opponent's face-up monster, you can change the attack of the opponent's monster to 0. If this card is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can special summon one spiral super agent from your deck. If a spiral super agent you control is destroyed by battle or sent to the graveyard while this card is in your graveyard, you can banish this card from your graveyard, return one spiral super agent from your graveyard to your hand. So, this card is not a spiral in name and it's not a spiral in theme, but it is a spiral card for the deck because it directly supports spiral super agent. However, since this card does not have spiral in its name, it is not supported by any of the previous 4 cards we got in the first wave of support. It's not supported by Spiral Super Agent, it's not supported by Spiral Quick Fix, by Spiral Gear Drone, or by Spiral Gear Big Red. It's not supported by any of those because all of those directly support having a card with Spiral in its name, which this card does not. So, that's a bit unfortunate because it doesn't really seem like it fits within the archetype at this given point in time. This would be like if Cosmo Tin Can did not have Cosmo in its name, or if Cosmo Farm Girl didn't have Farm Girl in its name. It directly supports the main card of the deck, which is Spiral Super Agent, but it's not a spiral itself, meaning that it's a little bit harder to access, as well as the fact that its first effect has to be when its first effect activates when it's on the field. So you had to summon this card. If it was like a hand effect, it would be a lot more, understandable. There's some inherent problems I see with this card that hopefully get fleshed out with it with the new release of the 3 other cards. Once those cards get spoiled to us, hopefully this starts to make a bit more sense, because as of right now, it doesn't really fit. It doesn't fit the theme, it just directly supports the main card of the theme, and that doesn't seem like it's going to be correct if this is the kind of card that Konami expects us to run. Now, Konami's very well versed at this point in making TCG exclusive archetypes, and they kind of had their teething problems with figuring out how to make Noble Knights work, but at the end of the day, it was still a functioning archetype, although it was a bit lackluster. And then they came with UA and BA, and those were just insane. And then they came with Cosmo and Kaiju, and those are both insane, and for varying reasons as well. I think it's very unlikely that they are going to take a step back at this point and make a TCG exclusive theme that doesn't really work well in its own cohesive deck. I just don't think that they're capable of that at this point, but they could surprise us. But like I said, with the previous, things I have mentioned, with the fact that this isn't supported by any of the previous 4 spiral cards, something has to change with the 3 new cards that have yet to be spoiled to make sure this card can be playable, because like I said, it has to be summoned, all that. It doesn't even assist Spiral Super Agent's effect. It doesn't allow Spiral Super Agent to trigger its effect, because its effect when it's summoned is if this card is summoned by a spiral card. Now this card doesn't summon it by a spiral card because this wasn't a spiral card, and this card had to be destroyed by battle or card effect, but it can summon Super Agent from the deck, so I guess it's nice it can float into it, but it doesn't trigger its effect, which is very, very strange that they would give this card so many ways to support Super Agent, but not make it a Spiral card so that it could support Super Agent in the best way possible. That's one of the more interesting things that I'm kind of curious about, is whether or not Konami is going to rectify this, like I said, with the 3 other new cards that we are going to be getting. Or if we're going to be seeing 3 other cards that don't have Spiral in their name as well, that just directly support Spiral cards, and that Konami just expects us to make the deck work somehow. I think that they are way too well versed at making TCG exclusive archetypes that are very good at this point to take a step back and say, oh, we're going to make this where it doesn't work together. I don't think that they're capable of that at this point, because they've had way too much practice, and they've given us 4 very good, very well designed decks, and half of a good designed deck in the form of Noble Knights. It needed a little bit of fixing with some extra releases like Merlin and stuff, but they did give us a deck that ultimately was functional, although it was not the best. And then we had 4 other decks that, for varying reasons, were really good and have been like staple cards splashed amongst side decks. Looking at you, Kaijus, and like even that deck is still half functional as its own deck and is very like good at doing what it's meant to be doing. That's the thing. The deck can be good or bad in terms of the metagame, but at least the deck is functional, and that's something you can say about Noble Knights and Kaijus. And then obviously BA and Cosmo and UA have their own thing where they are fairly good and very well versed at operating on a meta level capacity. This deck, as long as they keep printing cards like this that aren't Spiral in name but directly support Spiral cards, I think that this deck has a very, very strong chance of potentially being a flop, in that whether or not it's meta or not, it doesn't even function as an archetype. So that could be something to worry about in the future. But I hope that they address this with other cards that are being released in the future, because we still have 2 more waves of support at least after we get the 3 new cards from this set spoiled. So we have at least 8 more cards on top of the 3 that we don't know about yet from this set, so 11 more cards. So things could potentially flesh themselves out a bit better in the future. But as of right now, I don't know if this card is going to be run or not, simply because it's not a Spiral name. And that is a huge problem in terms of the fact that you have to summon it, and it's not a Spiral card, but it supports Spiral Super Agent, the main card of the deck. But I want to know what you guys think about this card. I think the best part about this card is literally its artwork, because that might be the only thing it's worth for. Like, the artwork is so adorable. I love this artwork. I might own copies of this card strictly because I like the artwork, just because I'm so deeply rooted in my enthusiasm for anime and stuff relating to it. And it's just, it feels very like scene from a rom-com. Like, every rom-com anime has like one of these waitress scenes in it where one of the main characters is a waitress working part-time or something. And so this just speaks to me on multiple levels in terms of anime relation. But other than that, like I've already said, maybe, I don't even know if I've said it or not. Let me know what you guys think about this card in the comments down below. But other than that, like the video if you like the content I've been doing. Like this video if you like the content I've been producing and you want to support the channel's growth. You can also share my content around to people if you know some people that might also be interested. Help the channel grow. Do that sort of nonsense. It's a fantastic way to show your support. But other than that, like, comment, subscribe, all that nonsense, typical stuff. Losing my train of thought, so I'm going to end the video now. Let me know what you guys think for the 3rd time about this card in the comments down below, and whether or not you think it'll be playable or not. What do you think of the Spiral deck in general with all the information we have currently? And I guess that's it for what I have to say. Other than that, as usual, thank you for your time, and as always, guys, take care.